Good afternoon. I'm Commander Thane Clare, PXO, PCO, VSS Mustin in Yokosuka. Good afternoon. My name is Commander Thane Clare. I'm the captain of USS Never Sail. As you know, 8 sailors from this ship were arrested by NCIS for involvement with the synthetic drug spice. The use of synthetic drugs such as spice is illegal in the Navy. We have a zero-tolerance policy for their use, and so we are aggressively investigating these sailors' activities, and we'll hold those involved accountable. And by accountable, what I mean is that anyone found to have used the drug spice will be processed for separation from the Navy. And anyone found to have been involved in the distribution or sale of spice will be not only ultimately separated from the Navy, but also investigated for potential legal action. Now, with that said, I want to emphasize and be very clear that the vast majority of sailors on our ship and in our Navy conduct themselves with honor, courage, commitment, and professionalism, and that the actions of these few perpetrators in no way reflect on the great work done by this crew on a daily basis. So with that, I'll take any questions you may have.
We're Dave Dry from High Times magazine. Understand that the FDA doesn't regulate spice. Why is the Navy outlawing it or banning it? And more importantly, how do you test for it to discover that substance if it's not illegal, it's not banned by the FDA?
Dave, that's a great question, and my answer is that to the first part of your question, there is no room in the Navy for any use of substances that affect our ability to conduct ourselves safely in executing our mission. Any type of mood-altering drug, whether it be drugs that are actively outlawed by the federal government or merely those such as spice, which are unregulated, yet have the same type of effects on the individual and their ability to operate effectively and safely in a military environment. So without exception, whether technically illegal for the broader population or not, those drugs are illegal by regulation for use by U.S. Navy sailors. And as to the testing, the Navy is indeed moving aggressively on developing the requisite testing technologies and capabilities to detect those drugs, so that anyone who thinks that they can circumvent the Navy's testing and oversight processes by using these synthetic designer drugs is sorely mistaken. Next question, please.
Sir, Catherine Devine from the San Diego Times. I know that you had 8 sailors who were caught up in this quote-unquote spice ring. 8 sailors may seem like not a lot to the general public, but I think percentage-wise, it's a pretty large number percentage-wise for your ship. How can you comment on how you're coping with the lost 8 sailors?
Catherine, that's a very good question. What I'll say is that you're correct. It's a significant challenge for us. But I will say that these perpetrators aside, the U.S. Navy sailor is an expert, a motivated, a dedicated, and a highly capable individual. And so while this presents a temporary speed bump for us, it's something that we can, that our shipmates can readily overcome, and that we will ensure we're able to continue pursuing our mission effectively and capably. And in the slightly longer run, we will recoup those personnel losses. It is far more important to us to take that personnel hit in the short term and get rid of folks that can't uphold the standards that the U.S. Navy and this ship require of them than to have them hanging around. So this is certainly something we're able to deal with, and we're moving forward aggressively. Please.
What's the performance of these sailors that have been caught?
That's a great question as well. As you all know, sometimes it can be difficult to tell from someone's outward appearance or outward behavior, what they're doing in their personal lives. So there's not necessarily any indication that people are behaving inappropriately if they're working to hide their illicit behavior. So, but because we have an aggressive training and monitoring and testing program and legal program led by the NCIS to root out these kind of problems, despite the fact that people try hard to disguise any kind of illicit behavior, they get found out, as these sailors have discovered. And so no matter how hard you try in the Navy, and again, it's a very small percentage of people of all the hundreds of thousands of professionals in the Navy. It's a very small percentage that are going to engage in this kind of illicit behavior. But no matter how well they try to disguise it, they will be found out, and the Navy zero tolerance policy toward drug abuse will take effect.
Let me restate my question.
Please.
The performance on the job prior to this incident, were all these sailors middle of the road sailors, hardworking sailors? Was it job performance? Was it climate, morale? How were they acting before this time?
Well, let me tell you this. The NCIS investigation is active and ongoing, so at this stage it's not appropriate to comment on the specific sailors that were involved. So I'm going to have to leave it at that. Please.
Togo Tsushima from the Kanagawa Times. The U.S. Navy had a rape last year, 6 months ago, a DUI, assault last month, and now you've got 8 people in a spice ring. You people are guests in my country. Why are you bringing such bad behavior here and now a new synthetic drug to pollute my population with it?
Well, first of all, we sincerely appreciate the hospitality of the Japanese people and the government of Japan in hosting us in your countries. We work together to promote the security of the Western Pacific region. We take those unfortunate acts that you described. We take them very seriously, and I would put it to you that we are moving very aggressively to ensure that these kind of actions do not, to eliminate them, so that we do not have those type of impacts on our mutual relationship, as well as on the mission accomplishment that's so essential to our two nations as we cooperate in the security of the region.
John Grant from Navy Times. We've seen an uptick in the amounts of individuals caught for these designer drug use in the Navy now that we've got a better test design for it. And we've seen over the past 2 years a steady decline in large groups, yet and 7 that were caught using this time probably means others were and just got by or weren't tested. What would you say on board the ship is allowing this type of use to occur, and what didn't you do about it to prevent it?
Well, I would argue that first of all, the investigation is ongoing. Those are legitimate concerns that you raise. At this stage, it's too early to tell what specific factors may contribute. I will tell you this: if any systemic or command-specific concerns are revealed by this investigation, we will move, with great alacrity to resolve them. At this stage, as I mentioned before, the investigation is ongoing, and once we're privy to all of those details, we'll be able to move forward. And as you say, we will be able to continue this accelerating trend that the Navy has demonstrated to identifying and quashing the use of illegal substances.